Which Week 14 NFL spreads do you need to bet before it's too late? Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and all of my degenerates. It's Mitch here with your early NFL Week 14 best bets versus the spread. This is the video where I look ahead at NFL Week 14 and I give you the spreads that pop out to me, the spreads that are most intriguing in Week 14. I have 8 games that look pretty interesting. We only have a 14-game slate in Week 14 coming off of Thanksgiving, but there are a lot of spreads and a lot of games that I actually have strong feelings for. So, let's get to it. If that sounds good and you're ready to make some more money with me, Money Mitch, then Gronk, spike the like button and don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel for weekly NFL best bets and NFL picks here on the channel. Let's go, man. We're going to kick it off with, as always, a little Thursday night football action, and this could be a great Thursday night game. I love the schedule makers for this one. We have 2 teams that played on Thanksgiving playing each other on Thursday night the following week. I actually really like that, but it's 2 teams that I'm really intrigued by. Detroit is on their last life when it comes to potentially making the playoffs this season. Meanwhile, there are not a lot of teams in the NFL, maybe 0, that are playing better football than, the Dallas Cowboys. The boys are back. They're coming off a critical victory over the Chiefs, putting the Chiefs on life support. More about the Chiefs a little bit later, don't you worry. But I'm riding the Dallas Cowboys, man. I have been making a ton of money on the Dallas Cowboys. I think from a profitability standpoint, the Cowboys have been the team that I have definitely won the most money on this year. It's been 3 or 4. I feel like the last 3 weeks, they have been absolutely crushing, okay? So I don't think I can fade the Dallas Cowboys here. And I do believe the Dallas Cowboys are the better team in this game, and they're getting a field goal or maybe even more than a field goal, right? This is shading towards Detroit minus 3.5, which to me is absolutely ludicrous, ridiculous, and unbelievable. Dallas is better than Detroit, flat out, period. I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better defensive line. I think they have the better coaching right now. I think that right now they have the better overall weapon group and they're healthier. Like, nothing about Detroit, even though the game is in Detroit and even though it's a must-win game for Detroit, it's a critical game for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are still in their race for the division. And by the way, guys, I did post a little Patreon future bet on the Dallas Cowboys as well today. So if you guys are interested in my Patreon, I've been flirting with some different things on there. We've been doing live bets during games, which have been cashing. We've been doing, of course, weekly bets. And now we're even looking at some futures. So we're continuing to diagnose and do this whole thing on Patreon. So make sure to check out my Patreon. It's $5 a month. You can support me as a creator and support and get some free picks, essentially, for $5. $5 picks, okay? There you go. Every week of the NFL season, including primetime picks for every game on primetime. I give you my favorite pick, my favorite bet. And then also every Sunday, I lay out what I'm betting every Sunday. You guys can see my entire card I legitimately bet, and you guys can pick your poison and what you want to go with and what you want to bet that week. And you can also ask me questions in there too. So Patreon, $5 a month. Just wanted to throw that out there. But I like the Dallas Cowboys here. I've already put Dallas in a teaser in this game, taking them up to 9. I think that there is no way that this game is not a one-possession game. If Detroit does win this game, I think they win by less than a touchdown. I think that 53.5, I would lean. I think that it's a big number, so it's hard to go over, especially without Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta on the side of Detroit. and they still have offensive line issues, right? Frank Ragnow was supposed to return to the lineup. He was supposed to return to the Lions in general and come out of retirement, but it just so happens he has a third-degree hamstring tear. I've dealt with a hamstring tear myself. Ragnow, stay in retirement, brother. But I personally think that Dallas is better. I think Dallas is still underrated. I think Dallas, you've got to go with them here. I know that everyone is going to be on Dallas, it feels like, but I still think there's haters out there, or there's non-believers out there, just because they're the Cowboys. Like, I really think that they see Dak Prescott, they don't like Jerry Jones, they see the star, and they don't believe in this team. But man, this is one of my favorite Dallas teams, and my dad is a Cowboys fan, so like I inherently do cheer for the Cowboys a lot of the time. This is one of my favorite Cowboys team just in terms of like, I think they have a toughness, I think they have a swagger, I think they have something, a savvy, like something about them where I think they're on that level of like the 2014 Cowboys. They're on that level of the 2016 Cowboys. Like of the recent teams that have been pretty good, I think they have a toughness. They can run the football. They have talented playmakers. They have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson and Javonte Williams playing great. They have Dak playing at an elite level, you know, as well as he's ever played. Like, the defense, I think, is really getting kind of slept on right now because we see the statistics, and the early season has such a big influence on their numbers and how bad they performed early in the year when they didn't have Jadeveon Clowney and they didn't have Quinnen Williams and they didn't have a healthy safety tandem and they didn't have Overshown and they didn't have Logan Wilson. Their defense is completely different. They didn't have Siobhan Revel, the rookie corner. So their defense is completely different. And I just look at this game and I think from a matchup perspective, Detroit's defense, and everyone's wondering what's wrong with Detroit. Like, why is Detroit not the same? And everyone's kind of pointing to Ben Johnson, which is fair. Like, Ben Johnson is great. He's a phenomenal play caller. He's the best OC in the NFL that we've had since Kyle Shanahan was in OC in the NFL. Like, that's how good Ben Johnson is. And he's basically the second coming of Kyle Shanahan in a lot of ways. And sure, that's a big deal, and their flavor and their sweetness and their consistency on offense and their fourth down percentages and their ability to just run up the score on teams and their electric offense is not the same, and Jared Goff is not the same, all that stuff. But the defense is, to me, what really is hurting Detroit. They're very talented on defense in a lot of areas. Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, Alim McNeil, Campbell is awesome at linebacker. Anzalone's a good player, right? Yeah, they've been missing Kirby Joseph, and sure, they've had injuries at corner, right? They did get a couple of guys back against the Packers, and it didn't really seem to matter. DJ Reed, etc. Their defense is so simple. Their defense is so consistently the same thing each and every week. They play man coverage on every third down. They blitz occasionally, but they usually four-man rush you. They kind of overplay the run a little bit too much, which gives up big plays down the field. They relied too much on their corners on the outside to play press man coverage against really good receivers. You shouldn't be asking, like Amik Robertson to run stride for stride with 4.28 Christian Watson, who's 6'5", and he's about 8 inches taller than him and about, a second faster than the guy. Like, seriously. So, to me, the critical problem with Detroit is not understanding having any like outside the lines creativity on either side of the ball. They're too predictable. They're too relying on their talent, and good teams are going to pick you apart. Even a Packers team that doesn't have all their offensive weapons can still pick you apart. So I look at Dallas and I'm like, well, if Detroit chooses to play man coverage, I mean, who is better at beating that than CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak Prescott? If you can't get a pressure package on them, like, you're not going to really get to Dak. And Dak has shown, like, a savviness to move and manipulate and move around the pocket and buy time. And, like, I just don't see how Detroit gets off the field on a third down in this game. I think Dak is going to be able to move the ball. And Dallas has enough of a run game to where Detroit is going to have to respect it. And knowing Detroit's run defense and the style that they play defense, they're going to respect it, which is going to open up things down the field. Jake Ferguson is a good tight end. Like, you've got Turpin speed. And now, Detroit, they just lost Terrion Arnold. I think they put him on IR again. And then you look on the other side, like, Dallas's defense, like I said, is playing really, really well right now. It's hard to run the ball on them. Matt Eberflus has a really good recognition and understanding of Detroit's offense because he was Chicago's head coach and played Detroit pretty competitively in a few games, if you guys don't recall, right? Like, So he has a defense that I think he's going to understand, like the money concepts of Jared Goff and stuff like that. No Amon-Ra St. Brown, so that's a huge target lost. Jamison Williams is electric, and he'll make some plays, but other than Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, if Dallas can, and Dallas has good linebackers now, like Overshown can run, like he's going to be able to track down Gibbs. And I just feel like Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark and Adigi Zua in the interior of that pocket getting to Jared Goff, who needs that interior protected. No Ragnow, no Glasgow potentially, right? They have guards injured. Like, this is a terrifying matchup if you're the Detroit Lions. This is a very bad matchup. I know that they're at home, but they can't play man coverage against this team. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball as well as they need to win this game. And they don't have Amon-Ra or Sam Laporta to make chains move and make plays, in the passing game enough. So I think Detroit's completely overrated in this spot. And Dallas continues to be underrated. So I love Dallas here. I think they win the game. I think they are a dangerous team. Like, they are a very, very good... Guys, I do my power rankings on the Bottom Line View. They might be in my top 5. That's how strongly I feel about the Dallas Cowboys right now. And I don't think Detroit is in that top 5. I don't think they are even maybe in the top 10. They're like flirting with the top 10. So, yeah, give me Dallas in this game. Next, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Pittsburgh's getting 5.5 in a game against Baltimore. The total's only 43.5. I know Pittsburgh looks like absolute donkey poop, but like at the same time, I feel like this is the Steelers and the Ravens, and every single one of these games is decided by 3 or 4. Like, it does feel that way. And Baltimore is not playing very well. They're not playing much better than Pittsburgh. Lamar and the offense is broken. Baltimore's defense is good, but they're not great. You can move the ball on them. And yeah, Pittsburgh sucks, but like, I'm still going to take the points with Pittsburgh. It's the black and blue Pittsburgh-Baltimore rivalry. If Mike Tomlin can outcoach anybody this year, I feel like it's John Harbaugh, because Mike Tomlin he's kind of washed, but he knows how to play against Lamar Jackson. He knows what to do against Lamar Jackson. They're not going to let Derrick Henry run all over them, I don't think, right? The only scary aspect of this is that it's in Baltimore. I'd much rather it be in Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's coming off a really bad loss against the Bills. That's kind of a classic Mike Tomlin bounce back spot. I do think their pass rush can affect and get to Lamar Jackson. They know how to kind of contain him and cage him in the pocket. I do think Pittsburgh can play some man coverage against these receivers for the Ravens. Maybe Zay Flowers has a bit of success, but otherwise, I don't really think that the Ravens are going to go crazy. Like, they're just a broken offense. They fumble the ball. They throw bad interceptions. They get sacked too much. There's too many negative plays for the Ravens. And who's the king of winning games, forcing you to make negative plays? It's the Steelers. That's how they beat the Colts. That's how they beat the Patriots, is just like turnovers, like teams doing stupid stuff. And I think the Ravens are doing a lot of stupid stuff. The Ravens also are struggling really to stop the run on a consistent basis. Chase Brown had a nice game against them. I think Pittsburgh can find a way to run the ball, which is going to help Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know, man. Like, the Steelers aren't that beat up either. Like, they're a pretty healthy team. I just think this is a divisional game that's going to be massive in the implications to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh's going to bring their best. Baltimore's going to bring their best. And ultimately, it'll probably come down to a field goal. I just don't believe in how Lamar is playing. I don't think he's moving the same. I don't think he looks the same. I don't think he's the same player right now. I just am willing to take the points here with Pittsburgh, as bad as they look. I think that's the right move. Next. Something about this game, I like Atlanta. It's not really like, I just saw the logos. I saw it's in Atlanta. I watched Seattle play against the Vikings. I can explain it in a detailed football fashion, which we will, but there's something about this spread that I like the Falcons at 7.5, 8. I feel like this game's going to be close. I do think that Atlanta's defense matches up kind of well with Seattle's offense. Atlanta is really good at catching you off guard with blitzes, and that at times gets Sam Darnold really rattled. I do think that Atlanta can sack Sam in this game. I do think that Atlanta is one of the best pass defenses in terms of not allowing big plays. They don't allow a lot of big plays because they have Jesse Bates, and he's a great free safety, and he has a great range. And they have A.J. Terrell, who I do feel at times can match up with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And really, as we saw against the Vikings, if you take away JSN, like a decent amount, this Seahawks offense kind of struggles to make a lot of plays. Seattle will try to run the ball in this game, but they're not a very good running team. Atlanta does struggle against the run. They've been a little bit better as of late against the last couple opponents they've played, but I think it mostly has to do with Atlanta, I think, can create some havoc. I think that catches Sam Darnold off guard. I think that they can shell this offense in terms of making them kind of complete passes underneath. And that's where Seattle, they're just hesitant to do that. They want the big play all the time. And then on the other side, Seattle has an excellent defense, but Drake London should be playing in this game. If Drake London doesn't play, I probably wouldn't bet this. But Drake London is a massive difference maker. And as good as Seattle's defense is, I don't think they have a guy that can cover him, to be honest. He is elite. He is elite. Kyle Pitts actually had a really good game last week, so they're going to have to respect him. And Bijan is an animal. So, like, Seattle is going to have to sell out to stop Bijan. Seattle's really good against the run. They do have a really good pass rush. They should affect Kirk Cousins. But if Cousins can get the ball out of his hands and just, like, matriculate the ball a little bit, it's in Atlanta. Atlanta kind of feels like that team when all expectations are off of them. They kind of hang around in these games and they make it interesting. Seattle, to me, has not played great the last couple of games. Like, sure, they beat the Vikings, whatever it was, 26-0. But it was like 3-0 by the end of the first half, and Minnesota threw a pick six. They had a CFL quarterback throwing 4 interceptions. Cousins doesn't look that bad right now. I kind of feel like if Drake London's in this one, this could be a closer game than people expect. I actually do believe. So I don't hate Atlanta here. It's not my favorite bet on the board, but there's something about this game. Something about this game. Next, the Buffalo Bills are minus 5.5 at home against the Bengals. I don't know if I'll bet this or not yet, but I do think I like the Bengals. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I need to check the injury report for the Bills. Dalton Kincaid, you would think, would be back in this game, and if Dalton Kincaid does play, he's going to have like 200 yards. Like, the Bengals cannot stop a tight end to save their lives unless they fumble the ball in the end zone like Isaiah Likely. So Dalton Kincaid is going to have an absolutely ludicrous showing in this game if he does play. But if he doesn't play, that would be a huge loss for the Bills, who kind of feel like they don't function without Dalton Kincaid in the passing game. Like, Dawson Knox, you would think, is a decent number 2, but he doesn't even get the ball. Like, Hawes is their blocking tight end. He seems to get the ball just as much. So, to me, like, Dalton Kincaid is critical. Josh Palmer has been banged up. We'll see if Brandon Cooks is more involved, but the Bengals defense has been playing a lot better lately. They're getting more pressure. They're stopping the run better. They're getting more stops, 4th down and short stops. They're getting 3rd down stops. They're getting sacks. They're getting turnovers. They played really good football the last 3 games. I feel like that Steelers game that they lost, it was 2 defensive touchdowns. I think they only allowed 13 points on the road at Pittsburgh. They played Drake May, the MVP of the league, arguably. They only allowed 19 offensive points. Marcus Jones had a pick 6. And then they played the Ravens, and they forced a ton of turnovers, and they held the Ravens in check. And yeah, Derrick Henry had a couple big runs, but that's going to happen. So the Bengals defense has been improving. And DJ Turner has been phenomenal at cornerback. Their secondary feels like they're playing a lot better. The Bills don't have a vertical passing game, so I kind of feel like the Bengals can sit on a lot of their stuff underneath, and they can sell out to stop the run to a certain degree. And I do think the Bills will move the ball because the Bengals are not a great defense, even if they've improved, and they do have Josh Allen in a great running game. But if the Bengals are playing a Bills offense that still doesn't have Dalton Kincaid, that doesn't have their tackles, I don't think the Bengals are just simply going to let them be ran on the way that the Steelers ran on, or the way that the Steelers got ran on. Just because, like, they're going to see that tape and know exactly how to stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to let that happen to them. And then on the other side, I think the Bengals are going to move the ball really well. Like, yeah, the Bills do have a good pass defense this year, but Joe Burrow with T. Higgins back, probably from a concussion. I mean, obviously, you got to check if T. Higgins will be back. I think he will be. Jamar Chase. Then you got Mike Gesicki, and you've got Chase Brown, and you've got Yossi Voss, and you've got Tinsley, etc. They have a lot of weapons. The Bills do have susceptible areas of their pass defense. I do feel like linebacker without Bernard is one of them. I feel like safety is a little hit and miss. I do think Tre'Davious White is a guy that you can pick on the outside with T. Higgins. He could have a massive game if he is playing. And then they've been running the ball really well. Like Chase Brown has had 100 yards or close to 100 yards in 3 or 4 consecutive games, even pre-Joe Burrow. They ran the ball for 100 yards with Chase Brown against the Patriots, which is really hard to do. So I look at the Bengals and I'm like, they're really balanced on offense. The Bills have problems with a lot of balance. They have too many weapons on the outside for the Bills to kind of sell out and stop the run. So there is a formula here for the Bengals to be able to quick pass, run the ball really well, control the possession, control the game, keep Josh Allen on the sidelines, and it could be a little bit of like a 31-28, 30-27 type game here where it's probably an over, it's probably high scoring. Joe Burrow's a little bit rust off of him. He looked good in moments last week. He moved really well last week. And he's in that killer instinct mode where he wants to win every game. He wants to go to the playoffs. The Bengals, they have their kind of swagger back with Burrow under center. And they've got their backs against the wall. And I love betting on Burrow and the Bengals in that scenario. Give me 5.5 against a flawed Bills team with just not a lot of weapons. Like the Bengals have significantly better weapons in this game. So I think that the 5.5 is the right move here. If it gets to 6, yes, I'd love the Bengals here. Because I think this game is going to be within... I'd still lean Bills to win. But I think that the Bengals are going to be in this game until the very end. So I like the 5.5 here. Next. I like the Saints with 8.5 points against the Bucs, even in Tampa Bay. Tampa just doesn't look great lately. They barely beat the Cardinals by 3. I think it was 20-17. And they got outgained. They got out first down. They really should have lost the game. The Cardinals missed a field goal, chip shot. They fumbled, and they threw an interception in Bucs territory. That could have been 9 points at least. So the Cardinals kind of gave that game to the Bucs, and previous to that, the Bucs have been on a losing skid, right? Sure, Bucky looked good. Godwin looked good. The Bucs are getting a bit healthier on both sides of the ball. But the Saints played them pretty competitively in New Orleans earlier in the year, where the Bucs basically won that game because of their defense. Like the Bucs won that game against the Saints because they had a couple turnovers in Saints territory, like deep in Saints territory. I think one of them was like an interception to the 1-yard line. It might have even been a pick 6, but there was numerous turnovers from the Saints that allowed the Bucs to win and cover that game. This is a game this week where 8.5 is a lot of points. Tyler Shuck and the Saints nearly came all the way back against the Dolphins. So they're a little bit of a backdoor kind of scenario here. The Saints beat the Bucs last year in Tampa Bay. The Saints have actually beaten the Panthers this year. So like they played pretty well against their division so far. And you're getting 8.5. And then also like Kellen Moore has had some success against Todd Bowles in the past. I do think Shuck is still kind of underrated. I do think that, yeah, the Saints can't run the ball, but the thing is, they shouldn't run the ball against the Bucs. They should be throwing the ball 40 times in this game, and I think they can have success with Vele, who looked good last week, with Chris Olave, with Jawan Johnson. Then you have to game plan for the Taysom Hill element, and the Saints do have a solid run defense. They kind of make you earn everything that you get on offense in terms of they play a lot of soft zone, and they kind of give up a lot of underneath stuff. So I'm not loving how the Bucs are playing. I think the Saints here in a divisional game, in a rivalry that's always very competitive and close. I watched the first game and it felt like the Bucs shouldn't have won by that type of margin if you go back and look at it. So I like the Saints here plus 8.5 in this game. I think that's too many points. Next, I like Jacksonville at home plus 1.5 against the Colts. I don't like how the Colts are playing. I also am a little surprised with how well the Jags are playing. I thought the game against Tennessee would have been close, and I was totally wrong. So, yeah, I'll take that on the chin, but that proved to me like Jacksonville can beat a bad team pretty convincingly. And Trevor Lawrence finally didn't throw an interception. Hopefully he can do that again against Indy. But there's a lot of elements about Indy that I don't like right now. Sauce Gardner's hurt. He'll probably be out of this game. That hurts their pass defense against a team with Brian Thomas, Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers and Brenton Strange. Like a lot of weapons. I think very underrated weapon group right now for Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a really strong run game, and the Colts have really struggled against the run with DeForest Buckner out. Like the Texans kind of consistently moved the ball on the ground when they needed to. The Chiefs ran all over the Colts. And both the last 2 weeks, the Colts have been outpossessed, right? They've been matriculated. You know what I'm saying? Hank Stram would say, like, both teams have been able to control the football. They've been able to kind of play their game. And Jacksonville's a really strong running game. The Colts are going to have to game plan for that. That's going to open up some shots for Trevor Lawrence. And yeah, Lawrence will probably throw a pick in this game. But Daniel Jones can't really move right now. Jacksonville's defense is good against the run. That is the one thing they are very good at. So Daniel Jones is going to have to win this game through the air. And I'm just not sure he's capable of right now. Like Trayvon Walker could be back for this game. He didn't play last week. It's in Jacksonville, a place where the Colts have constantly struggled and constantly lost. Even when they've been heavily favored to win the game, they have still lost in Jacksonville against far worse Jacksonville teams. It's a bit of a voodoo thing for this football team. So you throw in the history, you throw in how even these teams are right now, you throw in the recent play of Daniel Jones. Jonathan Taylor has not been quite the same the last couple of games. I think Jacksonville wins this game outright. So I like the 1.5 with Jacksonville. Sunday Night Football, I like talking about primetime games. Of course, I'll have my primetime outlook and primetime bets on Tuesday. I usually put that video out. It's kind of new to the channel the last couple of weeks. But I think you have to take the Texans with 3.5 in this game. I think if it were under a field goal or even at 3, I might slightly lean towards the Chiefs with the season on the line. But again, anything over a field goal with this defense, I think you have to take Houston. Like Houston's defense is, I don't think people understand how good it is. Like I really don't. Like I say it every single week and it feels like it's just going over everyone's head. Like the Houston Texans defense right now is literally in like an all-time conversation. They are like in the same breath as like the 2015 Broncos and the 2014 Seahawks and 2013 Seahawks and the 2009 Jets and the 2008 Steelers. Like any of the recent last decade defenses, the Texans are right there, guys. There's literally nothing that they don't do at a very high level. They stop the run at a top 5 level. They rush the passer at probably the most ferocious level next to Denver, but Denver typically sends more blitzes, which inflates their numbers of sacks, right? Like the Texans send 4, like on every play almost. They don't blitz at all, and they still get to the quarterback. Their coverage is like ridiculous. Like their coverage is awesome. Every completion that a team gets against them is like by this much. Like, and they hit you, they're fast, they're physical. They get 4th down stops. They get end of game stops. Like they do everything well, this defense. The only thing they do sometimes is they take stupid penalties because they're too aggressive. Like sometimes they'll hit you like late or something like that. And they're a little stupid that way. But that's the only thing you can say about this defense. They're awesome. And you look at the games last year, the Chiefs won both games last year. The first game, honestly, I think the Texans were going to win that game until Tank Dell went down and it just completely terrified the entire team. And CJ Stroud like basically like quit the game after that. Like he was crying, bawling his eyes out. Like Tank Dell like nearly died in the end zone, and the game just, they were winning. And then the game just completely evaporated. The game in the playoffs, the Texans allowed like 200 yards. The Chiefs had like 100 yards passing in the game. But the Texans couldn't do anything on offense. Their offensive line was so terrible that like they couldn't do anything. And that was the Texans all of last year. I do think the Texans are playing way better offensively this year. I think the Texans this year are a better team than they were last year. Like I think their defense is better and I think their offensive line is better. Like they might not have the same Joe Mixon running game that they had last year, but their offensive line is protecting better. I feel like they found a bit of an identity and rhythm on offense. Like they're a quick passing team. And you look at the Chiefs. Do the Chiefs have a pass rush that can really get to CJ Stroud? Like, I don't know, man. Like maybe Chris Jones occasionally. And sure, the Chiefs defense is a lot better at home. There's no doubt about it. But the Chiefs are going to have to blitz a lot in this game because they're going to want to blitz, because I think that's a way you can take advantage of the Texans and CJ Stroud and force him to make mistakes. But there are going to be plays to be had when you blitz and you've got Nico Collins and you've got Jaden Higgins and you've got Christian Kirk and you've got Dalton Schultz. Like, there are going to be guys where Nico Collins is going to make plays against one-on-one man coverage. If you blitz, he's going to make a play. Like, so CJ is going to be able to make some throws here against one-on-ones. And sure, he'll get sacked a few times, probably. But the game is not going to be more, like, the Texans are not going to allow more than 20 points, like, ever. So you're getting 3.5. If the Texans can score 17 points, they're probably going to cover the game. You know what I'm saying? The Chiefs are not scoring 24, 27, 28 points in this game. It's just not happening. It's not happening. The Chiefs' offensive line is beat up. They don't have Trey Smith. Their left tackle situation is dire. They don't have their left tackle. Good luck against Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Rashee Rice is really good, but if you put Derek Stingley on him, he's not going to do that much. The Chiefs can barely run the ball. Mahomes is overrated. Like, he's turning the ball over in a critical part of the game every week. So, to me, it's like, the Texans might be the flat-out better team here. They might win this game. Like, I like the 3.5. Because, again, bottom line, how many points are the Chiefs going to score? At max, I think 24 is probably the max I would give them, right? So how many points do the Texans need to score in this game to cover the spread? That's the math you have to do in your head. So to me, I love the hook here. I'm taking the Texans. And then Monday Night Football, give me the Chargers plus a field goal over Philadelphia. The Eagles are free falling. This is 2023 all over again. A lot of people are talking themselves into the Bears after what they saw against Philadelphia. I actually just think it's the Eagles. Like, I think the Bears are a fine team and they might make the playoffs, and I love Ben Johnson and I think they're an opportunistic defense and all that stuff. But there's also a reason the Bears are 6.5 point dogs to a rival in a big divisional game, even though they have a better record than them, right? The Bears are like 6.5 point dogs at Green Bay. You think that means that they're a good team? Like, I'm not sure. I think a huge, and this is actually shaded towards 3.5. If you can get Chargers plus 3.5 in this game, the one mismatch that does scare me is the Eagles' defensive front against the Chargers' offensive line. But every other area of this game, I just strictly kind of feel like the Eagles are free falling. The Eagles have like 6 plays on offense, and they're facing maybe the smartest defensive coordinator in the NFL. Like, Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, it's Jesse, right? I think. I might be confusing that with the linebacker that used to play. I'm pretty sure it's Jesse. I think there was a Kevin Minter, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I'm getting my Minters mixed up. But he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator, and he is going to, I think, overwhelm the Eagles' concepts in the passing game. Like, I think this is a complete mismatch from a passing game standpoint. I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to throw the ball. And then at the same time, I think that the run game for the Eagles, sure, the Chargers are not good against the run. But prove to me, Philadelphia, you can run the ball against anyone. Like, anyone. Other than the Giants, anyone. You couldn't do it against Chicago. Why do I believe you could do it against the Chargers? On the road. In LA. And then I got the way better quarterback. I've got the better head coach. I have Ladd McConkey. I've got Keenan Allen moving the chains. I've got Quentin Johnston. Here's the thing about the Chargers, like, their run game is solid, so you've got to respect it, and the way that the Eagles defended the run is they're going to have to respect it, because I don't think they can take it away by simply just having, 6 guys in the box. They're probably going to have 7, 8 guys in the box this week. And then with Greg Roman's scheme running the ball, he's going to find some ways to run it, right? Just like he's a really good run coordinator, even with a limited backfield. And then at the same time, if Herbert's got, sure, Quignon and Cooper DeJean are great. But the great thing about the Chargers is they've got 3, 4, 5 different guys they can throw the ball to. Like, sure, Ladd McConkey could be covered by Cooper DeJean, which I'm not thinking that is a great matchup for Cooper DeJean. Like, sure, he can run with him this way, like vertically. But horizontally, I kind of think Ladd McConkey can make some plays. Maybe Quignon takes him for that reason. Well, Cooper DeJean's on Keenan Allen. Who's covering Quentin Johnston? Adoree Jackson? And then you've got Gadsden or whatever the rookie's name is at tight end, who's really talented. And Herbert, I love the way the formula the Chargers used against the Raiders. Like, they ran the ball a lot. They protected the quarterback. So as long as Herbert doesn't turn it over a ton, and as long as he doesn't get sawed in half and sacked 7 times, I do think the Chargers can win a game that's even defensive, because I don't think the Eagles are going to score a lot of points in this game. I think the Chargers defense in the pass game is a top unit. And I mean, I think they're going to totally outcoach them. So, and it's on the road. It's in LA. So I think the Chargers win this game. I think the Eagles are done. Like, there's a reason I like Dallas to maybe win this division. I think the Eagles are sliding, free falling. I really do. This is not me just trying to sell you on something. Like, I legitimately think the Eagles are toast. If Lane Johnson is out again against Khalil Mack, take the Chargers, man. I like the Chargers plus a field goal here. Thank you guys for watching. Those are my early best bets for NFL Week 14 of the 2025 NFL season. Gronk, spike the like button. Check out Patreon, link in the description. We'll see you next time. Peace.